Hello, my name is Zach Rye with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another Snap Judgment review. What is a Snap Judgment review if you've never listened before? Well, I think game developers get a little bit overtaken with the fact that they are having to 100% a game or near complete it. I want to give you an idea whether you're going to enjoy it right away or not. So I do about 5 to 10 hours with the game, and then I'm gonna go over the overview of what that game is, the pros and the cons of the game from my point of view, and then whether or not I personally will be sticking with the game outside the purposes of this content. All of that said, we are taking a look today at the game that has kind of set everybody on fire on Steam, and that is Windrose, the pirate survival game that has just launched into early access. At this present moment, Windrose has a robust campaign, or at least boasts a robust campaign, and the game itself is interesting. And this is a hard review for me to do because this is a Snap Judgment review. So I am just over 5 hours in this game. I also played the demo for some time when that came out back at Steam Fest. And in the interest of fairness to this review, 5 hours is not enough to spend on this game, so that might keep some people from playing. So, in the 5 hours that I have been there, there's a very minimalist story. You know that Blackbeard, the pirate, is kind of the overarching villain. He has some sort of deal with the devil powers and has a huge fleet. You are just a random privateer that gets attacked by one of his men. Can't remember the name of the man offhand, but this man shoots you through the head, throws you overboard, and sinks your boat. With that out of the way, that all happens in a quick early tutorial for sword fighting. Once that's all out of the way, you wake up stranded on a beach with nothing but the clothes on your back, a broken sword, and a ammo-less pistol. And when I say nothing other than that, I mean nothing other than that. No ship, no raw materials, nothing. This game really makes you feel the work up from nothing to something. And this is part of the stuff we're going to talk about later. There's a huge grind here. You will start to collect wood, stones, plant fiber, all of your basic survival stuff. The usual suspects of a survival game, shall we say. And then you will construct a bonfire, which sets up your base, and then slowly begin to add things that allow you to do things, such as a workbench to build an axe and a pickaxe to mine bigger things, a tent so that you have a revival spot, a cooking area so that you can cook food, and these pre-built structures that allow you to then cover more workbenches, such as armor, so you can make better clothes, weapons workbench, and then eventually a shipwright, wharf, and whatnot so that you can work on a ship. But you don't get a ship for a really long time. The cursory tutorial mission kind of takes you through life on the shore and what that entails, and all the mining and grinding that you'll need to do to get all your stuff together. And then you'll get kind of like a small dinghy boat that allows you to travel to a bunch of small islands that are around you. But these small islands take quite a while to sail to, and the other tutorial missions to get a boat are not on those islands. You'll have to go to one of them and individually search different shipwrecks until you find one that is suitable to be repaired as your ship. And then you have to go and rescue 7 different sailors who are held in camps by Blackbeard's men on a different island. So I am meaning no exaggeration that on Steam my time says 5.1 hours, and I had 1 ship combat in the course of that. My entire time was spent finding raw goods to fix the ship, finding raw goods to build myself enough armor to fight the things that I needed to fight to fix the ship, and then slowly, steadily picking off guys at camps until I could get the crewmen out. Is this a bad thing? I'm not 100% positive. But this is not necessarily a game that truly respects your time if you're a busy person. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that this game is exactly what they meant it to be. It's just this is a game that's not really going to be great until you're 10 hours in. And honestly, the 5 to 9 hours that you spend in the game beforehand is going to make that 10th hour a little bit better. When I did finally get a ship and all my crewmen were singing their sea shanties and I was actually sailing the open sea, there was a true feeling of accomplishment there, which is unlike Sea of Thieves and Skull and Bones, where you just spawn in and you have a ship and that's that. What's even more interesting here is when a ship gets sunk, you don't just like spawn with that ship and the ship needs repairs over at a wharf. Instead, the ship starts to sink. It takes you out of that mode. You're back in the walk mode. You have to get out of the sticky situation because the other ships are still firing on your sinking ship. And then that ship is sunk. You can restore the ship by putting some more like goods into it at a wharf and bringing it back from the dead, but it's sunk. I thought this was really cool. You can also build your own ships, and the ships that you build here, they're not, they're much more grandiose in scale, which is kind of cool. As far as the overarching plot goes, like I've pointed out already, I haven't gotten very far. At some point during your tutorial missions, a doctor will show up. He was the doctor on your boat. He has somehow survived too. And he basically informs you that there was an artifact on your ship that allowed you to survive it. That then you have to basically do something with, because there's all these internal politics and Blackbeard and blah, 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 blah. But I really haven't gotten into that yet because, like I said, I just got a ship. And I can't even sink another boat yet because my ship isn't strong enough. Again, this is a game that makes you earn every little step along the way. There's also a character creator in here. It's decent. It's not the best. There's not as many options as I would like. Same with boat customization. There's actually boat customization that you get unlocked right away, which I really enjoyed. But again, not very robust because, game's new and it is in early access. But that's the overview. That's everything that I was able to glean from this. So let's go ahead and get into the pros and the cons. And before we do, I am going to say there is some difficulty spikes in this game that at some points I found very refreshing, and at some points I found totally annoying and irritating. The first thing I want to talk about, and it's not on a pro or con because of this situation, and I hope that they fix this. And I will try and put footage of it because I think I actually captured footage of this. I was building in my base and a wild boar ran out of the woods and attacked me while I was building. He got to jump on me. He killed me because it is very easy to die in this. But you spawn at your base. So I would just literally... So this wild boar spawn camped me and killed me, I would say like 12 or 13 times, to the point where I thought I might have to restart this thing before finally I managed to brute force him. Another thing to be kept in mind is anything you attack, anything you deal damage to, remembers that attack and damage, at least while the game is on. I don't know if you go out of the game and come back in if that's true, but while the game is on. So like if you are fighting 3 islands away from your spawn point and you whittle down this creature and it kills you, you can sail all the way back there and it will still have its wounds, which is very interesting to me. It also kind of allows you to brute force things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to defeat beforehand, which could be a negative or a pro, depending on how you play the game. And that's why I want to point it out now before I truly get into the pros and cons, because it's very tricky how that works. The same with the ship stuff that I just told you about. The fact that you lose a ship. The fact that I put cannons on my boat. It said my next mission, and a hull reinforcement. It said my next mission was to sink a boat, and I decided, you know what, I'm not going to put any boarding stuff on my ship. And I went out there and I got sunk. I got sunk hardcore. So like, I have to upgrade that stuff before I can even do that. I think that's interesting. I don't think that there's a game, especially like Skull and Bones, you just go into a battle, you're sinking 4 or 5 boats. Every time you're firing cannons, it almost becomes like like a side note, which sucks, because naval combat should be this epic, very dangerous thing, and I like that part of this game. But at the same time, you might find it very, very annoying to go out with this boat that you've been working on for, like I said, 5 straight hours, and it gets sunk immediately, and you don't know what to do. All right, so let's get into the pros and the cons. I like to go positive first, as always. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the cinematic clip system. I really enjoyed this. So one thing I've noticed with games when you're watching cinematics, and there's not a lot of cinematics in this game, there really isn't. Obviously, it's early access. There is a story here. Maybe there's even more cinematics later that I haven't found, but there's some opening cinematics to kind of set you up before and after the little tutorial fight scene before you end up on the island. And they're just hand-drawn. They're not worded. They're not voiced, nothing like that. But what's really cool about them, because they're not like that, is you can bring up this little play, fast forward, pause, skip thing. So instead of just skipping all of the cutscenes or slow watching them all through, you bring this up and you can bring up all the writing on the screen, read the writing, then move to the next frame. And do that till you get to the end, then move on without having to worry about the actual timing, which is really cool. I think that's a really cool way to do cutscenes. I've been going back to old games lately. I played Monster Hunter World, where none of the cutscenes are skippable. They're not fast forwardable. They're not even. And some of the scenes, I'd like to see what's going on. I think this is a really cool way to do those. And I would love to see that, especially in more games with cutscenes that have text instead of spoken word. They definitely, I don't know that this is technically an overall pro, but the control on the demo was terrible, especially if you were using a controller. You had to switch back and forth to the keypad sometimes, because some things just did not work or were impossible to access. They have reworked the controller stuff so that it is really good this time around. They have this the directional pad system, but you press and hold Y to get a second set of things. It makes things really cool, fast, and easy. It made battles and combat a little bit better to control and be a part of, because you could strategize, you could switch weapons, you could use your healing stuff. Before, I couldn't use my healing stuff without completely running out of battle, because I had to use either a mouse to get to it, or I had to go into my inventory and somebody was killing me by that. So that's a really cool. I really like how they've done the control. It definitely made my play experience a little bit better. My next pro is the hunger system. So like I said, this is a survival crafting game. Like you're Grounded, like your Ark, stuff like that. And all of those survival crafting games have a degree of severity when it comes to food and water. The severity on this is very low, which I enjoy. You get this little hunger box at the bottom of your screen. I don't think you can actually die from being hungry in the game, like starve to death. There is no thirst meter, and you cook food at the cooking station. It's very easy to cook food, and you have to kill a lot of animals in the beginning anyway, so you're going to be cooking food. What's cool about it is, to stave off hunger, you eat some food, and you can eat up to 2 items. And it considers both of those items and what those items give to you. That also extends your health bar. So it's kind of almost like a Monster Hunter World thing, where you got to eat before you go into battle, or you just got these 2 little health bars, you're getting killed. Which I think is really a cool way to do it. I like that there is if I end up hungry, I'm going to get killed by something. But it's not going to just be me on this timer, and I'm just going to all of a sudden pop, I'm dead. I've never really loved that about any of the survival crafting games. I also love that there's no real thirst in this one. I like that it's just relegated to hunger, and you either have those extra health bars or you don't, which I think is really cool. And then the pre-built structures. So again, survival crafting. So another staple of the genre is you collect raw materials and you can build structures wherever you want to. This is no different. You can build houses, you can build buildings, you can build structures, you can build whatever you want inside your camp, which is cool. I like that. And also build, and have to build, docks kind of into the water, like wharfs to work on your ship and stuff, which I think is really cool as well. That being said, I don't always like to spend 2 hours in my game building a house. And this is something that happens in a lot of games. I mean, there are cool games that make it a lot easier, such as, I think No Man's Sky's building system's really fast and quick. I think the best one is Grounded, but it's kind of a slog when it comes to actually building. This one offers pre-built structures. So, like, I did not want to sit there and just build a house for 2 hours. So it was like, hey, you collect 200 plant fibers, you could just build a hut. And you pick the hut from the pre-built structures and you build a hut, and then you have an enclosed structure. I think that was a really cool way to do it. I think a lot of these games should offer these if they don't already. I'm not saying I play a ton of survival crafting. I play more than I thought I did when I started to really count out how many I play in my head. But yeah, I do really enjoy the survival crafting, the pre-built structure aspect of it. Okay, that's it for the pros. Let's move into the negatives. Let's move into the cons. And since we ended with the pre-built structures on the crafting, I want to immediately talk about one that's not as bad, but it goes right along with the crafting element, and that is no blueprint crafting. I don't know why more games don't adopt what Grounded does. I love Grounded because I can sit there and I can plan a house. And the way it goes is you can go into the building mode, you can pick something that you don't have the materials for, and you can lay out where it's going to be. And then you get this like transparent kind of blue shimmering thing of what it's going to look like when you're done. So you can plan out the building and the structure as you go, and then you can go just collect the stuff and bring it back and add it to the blueprint so that it kind of fills it out. It is an amazing system. I don't know why every survival crafting game does not do this, and maybe I just don't understand something about it, but Grounded did that. I mean, they started doing that, like 8 years ago at this point? I don't know why other survival crafting games that come out don't do this. I think this is genius, and I wish it would be in more survival crafting games, because that's how my brain works. I don't like to be like, I don't want to build this thing and then have to see it in my head the whole time, especially if I've got to leave the session to come back and then I don't remember what I was trying to do with the 2 floor tiles that I have on the floor. Like, I would much rather build a blueprint and then I can just come back to it whenever with the equipment that I have. I really want to see that in more games, especially of this ilk, so I'm going to start calling it out as a con, because it's a feature that I've only ever seen in the Grounded game, and I really wish every survival crafting game would add it. And then finally, early sale time and respecting your time. Okay, this is probably my final big con. Again, I will show you the boar spawn camp killing me for like 10 straight minutes at the end of this video. So this video will be a little bit long once I'm done talking. I also want to get a sample of the sea shanties, because I think the sea shanties are really cool in this game. Probably the best sea shanties that I've heard personally. That being said, this game does not... So one of the big reasons I started Snap Judgment reviews, or horrible reviews back in the day, was how the disclaimer says. I am a guy who works a job, who has a kid, who is also the majority homemaker for my house. I have a lot of stuff going on. I'm also running a TTRPG company and this channel. I have a couple hours here and there to play games. Sometimes I get more, and that's great, but I don't always have a ton of time. And I know that there's a lot of other people out there, dads and moms, who don't always have a ton of time to play games, who want to play and get right into the game and get out. I'm going to say right now, I think this game is going to get cool. I think it's worth the effort, but it does not respect your time in any way, shape, or form. The amount of time it takes to sail in the dinghy from one island to another for just the purposes of rescuing the sailors or getting the boat is way too long. I think of the 5.1 hours that I spent, I gotta say, at least probably a third of that is just sailing from one island to another. And that's if you don't accidentally run into the Blackbeard boats that are just patrolling around, because if they run into you, they will sink your little dinghy so fast, and then you will drown. And that's not fun. I think that, like, again, there's also, if you're playing it on the normal and you're not playing it on easy, there is a heck of a difficulty curve to this game. I don't necessarily think that's bad. I don't necessarily think the sailing thing is bad. I think they're trying to kind of put it firmly more into the realism area than some of the other pirate games that we've seen recently, such as Sea of Thieves and Skull and Bones and those things. With that said, I think this is what they're going for. It's just, if you're a person who has an hour to play a game and wants to get right into the good stuff, this is not the game. This is going to take a lot of work to get into the good stuff. It just doesn't respect that early time for you. So keep that in mind. But we do come to whether or not I'm going to stick with it. I think I am going to stick with it. I'm really enjoying this. I should confess, I am a little bit biased because I love old world naval combat settings and I love pirate stuff, and I don't think there's enough of that content in gaming. Because really, as far as big games, it's Sea of Thieves or Skull and Bones, and that's it. Or you go back to, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and as good as that game was, I hated all the Assassin's Creed stuff. So, like, I really enjoy this. It really is scratching the itch for the pirate stuff that I have really wanted. I am enjoying the grind a little bit. There's definitely some frustrating parts where I'm screaming at my screen, but overall, I'm enjoying my time with this game. I think that, like, it really is interesting about its real world consequence ideas. It's pushing you to kind of really rethink how you move into things instead of just blindly running out and shooting everything. You have to really consider every combat encounter, every naval encounter, and I enjoy that. I'm looking forward to continuing to play it and seeing where the game goes from here and as it kind of explodes in front of me. But again, I'm 5.1 hours in. I've been in one ship combat. It is a grind. So, with that being said, like I said, I'm going to tag on to the end, if I can find it, the boar spawn camp killing me for 10 straight minutes and maybe a little sample of the sea shanty stuff. So this will be an extra long video. You can stick around for that or you can exit. Doesn't matter to me. Either way, you can find us on Discord. The link's in the description below. You can also... you can influence all of the shows from there, and as long as you keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. See you guys next time.
Call all hands to man the capstan. See the cable run down clear. Heave away, and with the will, boys, for Tortuga we will steer. And we'll sing in joyful chorus in the watches of the night. And we'll sight shores of Tortuga when the great